Welcome back to Bread and Butter, where we are serving up the basics for Hearthstone improvement. This is episode 121. I'm joined as always by Pilot. Pilot, how are you tonight?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And we have a new guest tonight, one of our favorite people in the Hearthstone community, the Housewife. The Housewife, how are you today?
Hello. Good to be here. Yay. Thanks for having me, guys.
Now, do I need to call you the Housewife, Housewife? What do you like to be called?
Chat came up with wifey, wolves, woofers, weefy, like anything related, really. I don't mind.
I just wasn't sure if I had to be formal and call you the Housewife the entire time. All right, good.
No,
So,
absolutely not. No.
so what have you been doing inside of Hearthstone?
Sorry?
In Hearthstone, what have you been doing? What have you been playing?
Oh, I've been enjoying a lot the Imbue Paladin lately. I just love dragons. I'm a simple woman, you know. I see dragons, I play dragons. I've been waiting for him for quite a while, and it's very, very nice that Paladin Dragon, it's a thing again, you know, in the middle of all this super heavy, mega armored decks that everyone is playing. Yeah, I've tried a little bit also the aggro priest. But it wasn't that great, so I was like, maybe we go back to Imbue. Imbue was doing quite well. I've been also playing something off meta, like no minion mage, and I had a lot of fun with it. I was climbing as well, yeah.
Oh, you were climbing with it. Good. Yeah, nice. How about yourself, Pilot? What have you been doing in Hearthstone?
Yeah, I got wrecked by a spell mage earlier that played Yogg in the Box for 5 mana and
Yes!
got a full board and buffed it, and I was dead. It did not go well for me. But finished up THL for our season this week. Managed to yet again, crawl my way kicking and screaming to 500. I finished at 500 or one game away from 500 every season, which probably isn't necessarily a bad thing. I'd like to be doing better, but considering how bad my luck and play was for a stretch there, I will take it. Didn't really play much the past week. I was in a spot to where if I buckled down and really focused and got it on a good run, I could push back to 11x, but I just wasn't feeling it. So I played a couple games here and there when I felt like it, just to clear dailies and kind of start fresh for this month and rejuvenate a little bit, since I was kind of burning out a little bit with how the expansion was. And now I'm gonna play some of my normal nonsense on the climb, including Archwing Mage I picked up today. So it uses a lot of the Skyla Big Spell Mage package, and then the 7-drop Draenei that spell burst, summon a copy or summon a new Archwing Mage, and then at the end of the turn it does 3 damage. I went like 4-2 or 5-2 with it, so I don't know if it's real, but it was working and it was fun. So, and that's the important part for me right now.
By the way, if you ever hear Pilot kind of pause in the middle of what he's saying, he's like, I was playing Mage. That is him picking up the cat that is getting in the way of his microphone and putting it down, and then continuing his thought. So
Yes.
as you're listening to the episode, you will hear this at least 15 to 20 times a night. And right now we're just seeing the tail flap in front of the camera as we're trying to do this. So, it is what it is.
So Tito the other week is just like, just put a chair next to you that she can sit on. I'm like, she's in a chair right now. I'm petting her, actively petting her while I'm talking. And then as soon as I like shake my arm out or, whatever, then she jumps up and circles my laptop and then walks right in front of my microphone and face. And that's where the pause comes in.
How
That's
dare
fair.
you get tired?
I
You
know.
cannot pause.
Right now
Absolutely.
it's less. Right now it's less a tire and more. She is shedding like crazy, and it's just hot enough in the house that it's all like sticking to my hand and gross. Warmed back up again.
Oh, okay. That tail is the cutest little thing.
Yes. So I am just realizing that THL season is over. I was ready to reach out to my next opponent tomorrow. I didn't know that we were done. So I did not have as good of a season. I went 1-5, but I was in most of my matches. I think I took a lot of them to 5 games, and I played some people, in the top 200. So the fact that I would win some games, I was pretty happy with. But we're making a focus for the next season to really kind of jump ahead. I'm 2-1 in Coin Concede Listener Series, so there's some good there. And actually, I played a lot of aggro. I played the Hunter aggro deck, the one that runs the Zerg spell without Zergs, and the
Hmm.
aggro priest that the housewife was just talking about. And I have been doing pretty well with it. I played some games before we started. I went 0-4, so maybe that deck isn't as good for me as it was. We'll figure it out. Oddly enough, I have not played a ton of Paladin. I know that the Flood Paladin, the Paladin with the Menagerie Paladin, is pretty good, but has a low play rate. I think we might talk about that later. We also have Imbue Paladin, which is a deck right up my alley, and for some reason I haven't been playing a ton of it. But made Legend early last month. We're gonna try to make Legend early this month because I have a lot going on at work. But I haven't been too focused about trying to improve the rank. We're just trying to play and have fun and make better decisions. And we're not having much success with that, but we're gonna keep trying. So, wifey, what have you been doing outside of Hearthstone?
Oh, like IRL or game wise?
Sure, whatever
Because
you want.
IRL, we're
Sure.
trying to implement like every week date night because we've been very, very bad in doing that. And streaming together and doing stuff inside the house, it is quality time spent together as a couple. But I think it's very important also to just go outside and be by ourselves. And even if we watch a movie or we try to take walks every single day for an hour. Yes, Language Hacker has been touching grass almost every single day. And game wise, well, we try to play co-op games, even on stream. We've been playing. Oh, the latest one was. We still need to finish Split Fiction. Highly recommend. It's an amazing game, gorgeous.
Yeah, I believe that's the one that Language
Quite
Hacker
well.
was telling us about last week, or not last week, a couple weeks ago.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
it's great. Just don't try Fred and Brad. That one, we were on the verge of getting a divorce. That just don't trust us. Just trust. That was very, very heavy. Oh boy. Yeah.
Well, we're glad that you're not getting the divorce as far as we know yet. Pilot, what have you been doing outside of Hearthstone?
So I feel like this week I told Tito that I feel like I've been doing my best doc impression. I haven't been playing as much Hearthstone because I've been doing other stuff. So I finished up the school year, but just been in cleaning stuff out and found, looking through instruments, it's just like, oh, we didn't use this. What's actually in this case? Is this instrument actually good? And finding, oh, we have a couple really nice instruments that we can use for next year, which is always great. The new Lorcana set dropped on Friday for pre-release and hobby stores. So picked up the box that I pre-ordered for that, and then yesterday played in a pre-release event, which was a pack rush where you open 2 packs, you take the 24 cards, that's your deck, and then all the packs come with a little art card or info card, and you use those as your start. You start with 2 ink, which is your mana resource in the game, and ended up going 3-0 in that to win a box there. My box opening and pack luck was not as good, so I don't know if they've dropped the drop rates have been lowered for this set, but I definitely got the same amount of higher value cards in 2 boxes that I got in 1 box last set. So see kind of where that goes. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing yet because none of the cards have been very valuable yet anyways. But excited for some of the synergies and stuff that they pushed this set. This is the last one before Lorcana starts a rotation, so they kind of took everything that they teased last set and really pushed it and made it to where, hey, I can actually make a deck with this stuff now, and we'll see where that goes. And then also been having my summer bowling leagues. Been doing okay there when my knee holds up. I'm pretty sure that I've messed up my meniscus or something in my knee, because I had to go to the doctor and said I could barely bowl one game and, was barely standing afterwards. Something's wrong. So I'm getting that checked out here in a week and a half, and hopefully it's nothing too bad. But I'm on some stuff to help out so I can keep going, because I had just gotten a new ball drilled up that I was really excited for, and decided to just grab a knee brace and use the beds that they gave me and some stuff to manage the pain, and bowled in a challenge shot tournament on Friday. Was in the running for the cut until I fell on my own face in the last game and threw it away, as the people who I could have caught also weren't doing very well. But good news is the ball that I got did exactly what I wanted to. So I think that is kind of going to be my go-to favorite bowling ball, at least for now. And I think that that's my life outside of Hearthstone. Something like that.
I could never get a new. I still have two bowling balls that were hand-me-downs from like the early. I've been bowling with them since the early 2000s, and they were hand-me-downs for me. I'm sure the cores are dead and whatnot, but like whenever I try to get a new ball, someone would be like, "Well, what do you want it to do?" I'm like, "I want it to knock pins over," and I have a hard time really kind of getting that like, oh, do you want to hook at the end? Because when I was bowling, I could throw it a bunch of different ways, but I never really had a set thing that I needed the ball to do. So I was like, I don't know, just make it happen, whatever. So I never got a new bowling ball, but if I do start bowling again, at some point, I will buy a new bowling ball. I am living in New England, so if you are living in New England, you know that right now on Saturdays it rains, and that's all it has done for the last 6 weeks at least. So every time I go home on the weekend,
Oh,
because I'm living in Rhode Island during the week, and then I go back up to New Hampshire on the weekend, and I want to get yard work done, and I got to get stuff done, and there's projects to be done and things, and it just rains. So instead of being productive this weekend, I played two entirely full games of Civilization 7. I'm trying to knock out all the achievements and play every character and win with every character at least once before we do more things, because that's kind of the weirdo I am. But we're having fun with it. And then we had the Blizzlet community night last night, which involved a bunch of Among Us and then some Jackbox, which is always fun. TKO is a great game. That's really
Yeah,
enjoyable.
Among
Um,
Us is so fun. I'm sure you had a
yeah.
lot of fun in Among Us, Tito.
I get to kill Pilot quite a bit.
I think
It
I had
begins.
3 rounds in a row that I instantly died as soon as the
No.
kill was on for the first round. I didn't finish my first task on one of them. I was so upset. I was so
Oh,
mad.
that's how ties killed me.
Yeah,
I'm
two of
so
them were
sorry for
Tito.
that.
It's okay. I got him back the very next one.
Yeah, you got me back within like 10 seconds. You got me back. It was great. Outside of that, not much, just, life. But we have a new patch that we had teased. Pilot, you have some thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, I'm trying to find the post so I can actually reference it. And I finally found it. So we had a couple things that have been teased to be dropped this week. I believe on Monday, if I have the dates correct, where we know that we have the arena revamp coming, and they put up a blog post on that. We're not going to go through that right now because you can probably, one, read that for yourself, and two, that is something that we're going to talk about shortly after that it is out. So we'll save all that information for then. And then we also this morning or afternoon got the teaser of the announcement where they normally do some sort of picture teasing the next expansion. We already know that it's returned to Ungoro, but on their social medias they put out a message with "We dropped a pin. Now it's your turn. Where is it?" with a little picture. So we should be getting all of that information with the patch as well, because that'll be the point 0.6 patch or point 0.4, whichever one it is that they're combining all this stuff into. So we should have pre-order the free legendary and all of the info for Unguro hopefully tomorrow or today or yesterday, depending on when you listen to this.
Yes, and we will have Judge on next week to do the his usual arena stuff. I couldn't think of a better guest to have on. Of course, that obviously could change, but we get him locked in for right now. And if not, we'll have him on real soon. Looking forward to that. Wifey, are you excited about the change in the meta, the new patch, the new expansion coming out?
Oh, yeah. Fresh cards are always great. Yes. Especially when you're kind of, getting bored of all the control decks that are right now. And you're literally playing for an hour just to see, like, in fatigue, who wins. Yes, new cards.
Fair enough. So I'm looking forward to it as well, but we'll talk more about that when we actually have more information to talk about. And we'll probably have an opportunity to go over what kind of version of a quest they give us, because it's Angora, they have to give us quests, right?
We should be getting quests. I would assume so.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yep.
I hope so. That was such a fun meta. A very, very
I wonder,
fun
and I always
expansion.
wonder if they're going to, I wonder if they're going to give us completely different quests, or if the quests will be kind of a play on the original quests of each class from Ungaro. So it'll be interesting to see. But we have nothing more about that right now. So why don't we get to know our guest? So our guest is the housewife. Housewife, how did you get started in gaming, and how did that lead you to Hearthstone?
Oh, well, I've been playing since I was like 4 or so, because do you remember back in the 90s, the very nice Nintendo and Sega, like the very ones that you had to blow it up and then insert?
Yes.
Yeah, those were the first games that I played. Tanks and like, what good times. I feel sorry for the kids that don't play, or even in the arcade with Mortal Kombat. Like, if you don't know Fatality, like, have you even played? Like, that has to be stuck in your mind. But yeah, I've had a very nice pair of games while growing up. And then and Onimusha. Wow, that was such an... Actually, I played it recently. They did some remaster stuff. Very nice. But Hearthstone, it was... I was in between jobs, actually, while I was still living with my ex. And we had just moved in a new place, a few provinces from I used to live. And since I was currently unemployed, I was very, very, very extremely bored at home. So he introduced me to the game. So, why are you not playing this? I was like, cards. Like, I don't wanna. And then I started playing, like, you know what? This is fun. This is actually fun. And I didn't know you had to rank, because do you remember it was the old system when you had to start from 25 and then up to 20, you wouldn't lose stars. And I didn't know that at first. I lost a couple of card backs because I didn't even know that. I didn't understand the game that well. But afterwards, I started to do more than quests and like have that, like the ladder anxiety started to wear off. And the first time I got to 20, celebration. The first time then when I got to rank 15, I was like, my God, it's happening. Yes, it was good times. I really like the old ranking system. Well, maybe I'm just nostalgic. I don't know.
I liked it at some level, but I also hated not having rank floors. I don't think it's like, I wouldn't want to go back to that, because you could just go on tilt and lose like all your progress and more, and that would be bad. So I'm glad they kind of give us that place to kind of land. So, yeah, I'm glad that carried forth. But where did the name The Housewife come from? Because we would understand if that was new, but you've had The Housewife before you were The Housewife. So how'd that happen?
Yeah. From that period that I was staying at home and I was feeling like an actual housewife. And because of that, I said like, well, this feels appropriate. So I had a very, very bad idea of changing the name, because I thought people will understand that this is actually a feminist message. No, they didn't. Spoiler, they did not. So I got very harsh comments because of the name, and in chat, and like very misogynistic comments. Anyways, what I was trying to explain, right? Having the name is like, you can be a woman and you can be whatever you want. You can also be a housewife and you can play games. But people didn't quite get that. They were just, you're just sitting at home and you're doing nothing. Just like, go cook something. Like, oh, okay. They're literally the opposite of the message that I'm trying to transmit here. So yeah. Also, what bothered me is like I was a number 2000 in the client. Now I'm like the housewife number 20,000 something. That felt very bad. Because you play from the beta and I just lost the number. Yeah.
Yeah, the internet is not really good on subtlety and nuance, but maybe someday. So,
Yeah.
how did you decide to start streaming Hearthstone?
After a month of being every single day next to the computer, today it's going to be the day that I'm going to press the live button. And then, nope, I decided to start streaming with no cam, no microphone. And my first ever stream was 7.5 hours climb in a wild. I was, I believe at that time, the only woman that was streaming wild. By the time of Solem, and I believe Dane had just started, maybe Raffle. Like there weren't that many wild streamers. I was one of them. And it felt good to be the first woman that was streaming wild. And then I was doing and then I started to be like, I want more. So after I had reached the legend in wild, I started climbing to have the legend in standard too. So I started the dual stream. And then Brookworm was, I love this. And Brookworm also starting to do the same content. It was like, do you mind if I also do that? It was not at all. The more the merrier. And it was amazing because it felt like I was starting to to set a new trend that people were less afraid of losing their viewership because swapping in between contents, even if it's in the same game, it's harmful. But I really like that women mostly were getting more competitive in between, like, I want to get the two type of legends. And it was very nice.
Yeah, our guest last week, Carly Wardy, just got top 8 in the Americas qualifiers this week. So it was good to see. Hopefully we see more women push forward
Yeah.
and make good content and do well in these contests. So do you make any other content either for Hearthstone or anything else? And what do you have planned for the future?
Absolutely. Now, I started to stream a little bit of variety right now because whenever I don't like the meta, I don't have the wild anymore. I stopped playing wild a while back. So I'm trying to introduce either 2 games where horror games that chat loves to see. Where every other kind of game that was great at its time or new right now. I really love a good challenge.
Nice. So do you ever get burned out streaming and playing Hearthstone? If you do, how do you like recharge and find inspiration to get back in it?
It's difficult for me to stream the same content for more than 3 days or a week. So I constantly have to keep it fresh somehow for myself, not only for the community that's used to like that. Like if I'm starting to have a hard time in, I don't know, in standard, I'm going to swap to arena. If I'm going to not like those 2, I'm going to swap to battlegrounds. And if it's just like, I just need a break from those, I'm going to stream completely a different other kind of game. So it helps me with the burnout because I get easily burnout. Especially this year that it was very challenging with coming from Europe into a new continent, new life, and there were one too many changes that I wanted them, sure, but it doesn't mean it makes it easier mentally or physically. So this year I played even more variety than usual, and I found it refreshing.
Yeah, that must have been pretty hard to transition over to your new home. What was that like?
It was it was something because cultural Europe is very, very different from Canada. I really like the people here. They're so warm and nice. And if in Europe, maybe I would get glares of, oh my God, pink hair. Ugh, what are you even doing? Don't you know how old you are? How are you doing your hair pink? Here would be like just women on the street where, oh, I have to stop and say, like, I love your hair. Or just smiling or making hearts while I'm walking. It's so amazing. And then people, in Italy, they're very loud and they're very passionate. Here, they're more soft and more. I had to dim my voice. Yeah.
So, not counting Language Hacker, who is your favorite streamer or competitor?
Well, he knows. He knows very well because I've always told him I really like pizza and Luna. While they were playing against each other during the Grandmasters, I was like, I can't handle this. I can't handle this. Before the game started, I wished both of them good luck. And they're like, I can't watch this. I can't. Like the anxiety too high. Yeah.
And Pizza he's going on to Worlds, right?
Yes. I'm sorry. He's my favorite. I'm going to scream. Everyone needs to hear. I want Pizza to win. Yep. It's out there. I've said it.
He's got a good chance as any for sure. So a couple weeks ago we had Language Hacker on. He told us a story of how you two get together, but we want to hear it from your side. So how did the two of you get together?
Did he told you that I followed him?
Yes. He told them that he told us that you watched him and you were like, this guy is boring and or something.
No,
or
he was salty, not boring, salty. Yes. Like you expect. I understand someone to be somewhat, like I'm good at the game and I know it, but the level of saltiness when he would like draw bad or it's like, this is not good for, nope, I need something fresh, something funny, not someone who curses. And afterwards, I don't know how, I think he followed me. And I actually told him that. And he comes into chat and goes, you don't know who I am? And I'm like, should I? And I was like, okay. And people in chat, oh my God, you don't know who he is. He's a Grandmaster. I'm like, oh, okay. Sure. Before he started competing, if you remember the old ranking, they used to do on bet on your favorite champion and you will get packs, and the more they will progress, the more packs you would get. My to-go was always like either pizza or ties. Yes, ties got me a lot of packs. So Language Checker was way too for me. Around that time, I think I already had started to watch a little less of the Grandmasters. So afterwards, I don't know how I think because of the Grandmasters, it was written that he was Romanian in the bio, and I reached out to him and said, oh my God, you're Romanian? What? Recently, I had discovered also that Creep was Romanian. I was like, oh, the world is so small, because I'm Romanian Italian, he's Romanian Canadian. So it was very interesting for me because I didn't met that many people that had dual citizenship. Yeah, we started then to talk. He needed more practice with the Romanian. I helped, and now I have to say, like, his Romanian is very on point. The more events we did together, we spent so much more time, and one thing led to another, and well, no, sometimes you're more than friends.
Very nice, very nice. So, you guys both make content and play a lot of Hearthstone. So, how much does that play into your lives? Do you talk about it while you're driving, you're eating, and or do you just leave it when you're done when you leave your computers?
Well, depends if you're hacker. Sometimes I just want to watch my reels, and then hacker goes, oh my god, did you see this? Oh my god, like look at this. This happened. Like, okay. Like no, you can listen. You have to see this. Like, and then he managed to, even if I'm not in the mood to do that, he manages to get me into the mood to see that in that moment. He kind of knows what cards or art I like. And the second, when he sees something on Twitter, oh my God, come see this. Oh, this is so cute. Look. Where he, like the cutie pie deck that he was playing, he built that because he knew that it was something that I would enjoy. So he had the idea and he stayed a few days and kept changing cards until he managed to do it perfect, because he knew, no, you're gonna love this. And I did love that deck, yes. It's a very fun deck. And I like how afterwards, like, he gets excited and then he comes and he shows me, look, this is the key card. Oh, but look, but this one and this one together. Oh, like the way he has to explain, like literally gets excited. It's very fun. And we spend a lot of time talking about Hearthstone, more than I would prefer. Yes. yes.
Well, do you ever fight about Hearthstone?
Absolutely. Especially, so let's say sometimes I usually try not to play any other kind of game really outside the stream, because I want to avoid burnout. And sometimes he sees me playing, he comes next to me and then like, why did you do that play? And then I tell him, and then he goes, no. And then like, no, okay, yeah, fine. That your play was better. Where, no, absolutely not. This is not the correct play. Think about it. So yeah, we have a lot of back and forth about this.
Nice. So you get the free coaching.
Yeah, I do, yes. Again, something more than I want. Yes. I understand how people would think I'm blessed. Sometimes you just want to, bask in your mistakes. You just want to do that. Nope. There was one time before Grandmaster, he actually needed to go start the game in like 10 minutes. I was streaming. We had just started dating, or we're just friends then. I don't remember. He picks up like Discord. He starts calling. Pick up. He writes in chat and pick up. Did you see the play that you just made? What's that even? And since then I said, see, this is how you train a Grandmaster. You start, they just wake up, you see misplay, and then their heart rate goes boop, and then he won in that day. What can I tell you?
So do you guys ever play against each other? And do you have any weaknesses that we should know about in his game when we play him in THL?
The most fun that we had playing against each other was playing Nosdormu decks, because it was very, very, very fast. And we were living separate, different continents, but we were playing on stream while we were in call. So he would be like, quick. So I couldn't even hear my thoughts because he was stressing me out with the rope so bad. I was screaming because I can't play and he's still yelling at me. And actually, I have to say, I also won a couple of those games. But yeah, I did. They were very fun. And I'm sorry, what was the other question?
Are there any weaknesses in his game that we should know about that we can exploit at some point?
Definitely Warlock. Have you seen him play bringing Warlock every single time? He had to bring a Warlock. Yes, he should not ever bring Warlock in any championship. None. Zero. And then Asimo goes, oh, This deck has like basically 0% chance to win. After the first game, boom, done. Warlock loses. So I don't know if it was the caster curse or the warlock. Your pick.
All right. So just to wrap this up, what is your favorite class and what is your favorite deck of all time?
Funny you would say that. It's warlock. Warlock has ever been my favorite class. Maybe I'm also biased because Mal'Ganis was my first ever legendary. And my favorite ever deck was, do you remember Dexter's Mogura? The one that you had to create the play a certain sequence with Glinda and then the 1/1s, and then they would merge into one big 2020, and then you copy the 2020 and put it back into your deck, and you would also draw it for 0 mana, and then boom, 40 damage or decay.
Nice. No, I've played Sunkeeper Raw decks in Wild, but I don't think I
Yeah.
remember ever putting it back in my deck and getting 2 of them.
Oh, that was so fun. I love that deck so much. Yeah.
That is one of my favorite Wild decks to play. I love because no one expects it, no one plays it, so no one sees it coming. So I don't think I don't know if you can do it anymore because of the changes they made to some of the Death Rattle stuff in Rogue. But you used to be able to play it on like turn 6, and you'd be able to uh, get Sunkeeper Ra out there, and then if they happen to kill it, you had the Rogue spell that bounced it back to your hand and whatnot. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. But speaking of weird and maybe off meta decks, we do have a thing called the pilot program. And what we usually call that is when pilot has a, hey, Tito, try this deck. And I play it on stream. And he's like, I just won 5 games with it. And then I play it and I win a couple games with it. And he's like, never mind, I just went 0-4. And then we go back and forth on it. So we call those the pilot program. So we figured maybe it'd be a good idea to introduce everyone else to the pilot program. So, pilot, go ahead.
Yeah, these are not quite going to be all the way down that trail or rabbit hole, but these are decks that by win rate are sitting at tier 1 and tier 2, but all of them are under 1% play rate. So all the stats are taken from HS Guru, Diamond through Legend in the past week. So these are a few options if you're looking to play something other than the most popular decks and still have some success, some things that maybe you haven't seen as much on ladder, that maybe one of these will be intriguing for you. I will say before we get into it, a lot of them are aggressive decks. Part of that is because of the rank range that we're looking at. Typically, the higher up you get in Legend, the more people kind of steer away from the super aggressive decks unless they're absolutely busted and broken. That's just the tendency of those ranks of players, for better or worse. But they are all still performing at that range. So the first one is one that I think we talked about some last week or 2 weeks ago that was at the top of the list and has kind of fallen down a little bit, and that is Beast Hunter, which is the token small Beast Hunter, goes wide really fast. It is a 0.2% popularity, but sitting at a 57.5 win rate. Tito, I know you've played a lot more of this deck than I have. If you want to speak to it any, I think you are muted.
Yeah, I might be 0.7 of this 2.7 of how many people have been playing this deck. It's a lot of fun. It's aggressive and it has a lot of just snowbally ability to snowball real fast. So I've really enjoyed it. It's weird because, like I said, it runs the Zerg spell without Zerg in it because it's just a +1 kind of mini bloodlust there, and you get your tokens going, or you get your uh, it's just fun. It's nice and quick and fun. And if you want to climb quickly, or maybe even not climb quickly, just play a lot of games. You can get a lot of games in fast with this deck.
It runs all the little beasts that we saw back from Whizbang when the deck was most popular, with the weapon, the remote control, RC Rampage, runs Wall of Spiders in a lot of the lists, things like that, as well as the egg that summons a 3/5 that attacks the lowest health enemy, I believe. Runs
Mhm.
Amphibious Spirit, runs some Death Rattle support, runs Workhorse, and you're just trying to flood the board. One thing with this, if you are someone like me who doesn't like those hyper aggro decks that don't have a lot of refill and card draw, it does have a little bit of refill issue if you don't hit the right cards early. I felt the few games that I played with it, I was running out of stuff to do a little bit early. That could have been poor variance, that could have been poor mulligan in play, but we don't have a lot that draws in Hunter right now compared to what rotated out. So that's a spot that you can probably look at and probably add something else in. I strongly considered adding Codobane in to one of the flex spots, but that is one thing with that deck to kind of watch out for.
I run it without the amphibious, the one I'm playing with, and maybe that one's better. But I had a 77% win rate with it with 10 and 3 on Thursday, I think. And I have a Direwolf Alpha and a ball of spiders instead. And it's got a mother duck in there as well. So it feels a little bit like an arena deck, but it's good.
Mm. Pew pew, Hunter.
Yes, very much so. Then we have a lot of varieties of aggressive paladins. If imbue is not your cup of tea, there's a few different things on there. There is aggro paladin, which is the flood paladin that Tito had mentioned earlier. That's at a 0.1%, 55% win rate. Drunk paladin is still a thing. It's at a 55% win rate with a little bit of a retool with the changes in Shaladrosil and Lightbot, where Lightbot is still a good card. It just comes down a turn later. Shaladrosil, some lists have dropped it, some lists have kept it, but just taken out Ursol since you can't repeat it as an aura and just using it as over-the-top damage at the top end. And then Menagerie Paladin, also 0.1% popularity, a little bit lower win rate, but still sitting at 52.7%. A lot of go wide strategies for the aggro and Menagerie. Drunk Paladin, we've talked about before because that's been in. You have that huge couple of swing turns of the light bots and then follow it up with sea shanties. If those get cleared, and normally that's too many turns of full big boards in a row for other decks to deal with unless they're really, really controlling. The flood style, a little bit more susceptible to control, but it goes wide quickly, similar to the aggressive paladins and a couple other ones that we'll talk about later. So
Yeah, I
I
would
have not
say that
personally played any of these since the patch.
I haven't played it since the patch either, but I know that this is not something you want to do, so don't do this. But I've had a lot of fun every time Ursul's played Crusader Aura, because then you get a Crusader Aura every turn, and that stacks. And
Yeah.
with like a token deck, that's a lot of fun. So I don't know if maybe there's anything there, but it's fun. I played this deck. I played this deck a lot, not this patch, but the previous patch, and it felt really good until it didn't. It felt really good
Mm-hmm.
until you started hitting up some control that was like Death Knight, and they had the threads and they had the corpse explosion, and you only have so much reload with this deck at any one point. So it feels good and it's strong, but it also can get kind of hard countered if you're running into the wrong meta. So there's something to keep in mind with that. Have you played any of this, Housewife?
No, I played against them. You know, those like 0.1. I think I hit that person that was playing a ladder. Funny enough. Yeah. Because also, I remember at some point, I was like, why is this person having all this like 1 mana spells? Oh, I see. So, like, because everyone is expecting to see Paladin, it's gonna be, you know, imbue. Well, it was not. And I was surprised. And they won, you know, because I was surprised enough. So my hand, I had chose a little different there.
Yeah, and that's something that you can really take advantage of with a deck like this. If there is a popular deck out there that that is strong in the meta, and you play something that's a bit different than that, you can almost guarantee that your opponent is going to mulligan for that deck and not yours. So there's an advantage there. So this deck's win rate might be inflated almost artificially with something, at least a couple percentage points, with people maybe mulliganing wrong because they're expecting the other kind of paladin. So as we're talking about decks like this, that's part of where some of the, you may say, why is this winning? It's like, well, it's winning because it's not this deck, it's that deck. And that's something to consider.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so other next few decks that I'm going to talk about kind of fall into that same range. Going to go a little bit out of order here, but we also have Menagerie Demon Hunter as well as Pain Demon Hunter are both performing well with very low stats. Menagerie 0.1%. At a 54.5% win rate. Pain DH, a little bit more popular, but 0.5%, but with a 58.2% win rate. Other aggressive options, especially in Demon Hunter, haven't seen a lot. I have seen a lot of people experimenting with Demon Hunter, but not quite going to the aggressive route. Most of them have been looking at like the Starship and late game stuff, which was a surprise to me when I first ran into it. But you can definitely lower the curve and go aggressive in something like that where people are going to be expecting a slower Demon Hunter right now, which sounds really weird to say at this point with how long it's been since we've had something like a Fel DH, but something else there. And then very similar vein are in Death Knight. This is a deck that I have been playing mostly, which is the Frost or Stuffy DK, which is double Frost 1 Unholy. It's at 0.3% popularity, 58.5% win rate, which is on HS Guru the second highest win rate behind just regular Rainbow Menagerie DK. I've played a ton of this deck. It was one of the only decks that was working for me the past month. I went 34-11 for a 76% win rate for the month, and took it to most of my THL matches as well. I think it took it to all of them, and people still weren't targeting it. It did get banned. It started to get banned at the end, but it is one to where it feels like it should go faster in the beginning with how the Menagerie one is, but it takes a little bit longer to get going. But then you're doing things like Horizon's Edge on 4 into rushing, Stuffy in 5 times on turn 5 because you're giving it Reborn with Horn of Winter, and that turn 5, 6, 7 you just push out a ton of damage, swing the board, and normally that's where you're ending the game. So really interesting, a lot of decision making with when you're going to go in and when you play, especially which 2 drops you play when, between do you want to draw a Frost Spell, do you want to play the Dreadhound Handler to rush in, do you want to get a Dark Gift minion with Creature of Madness. A lot of decision points there to kind of set up best for those mid-game turns, but a really fun deck, kind of the one that I was drawn to most recently.
Yeah, I think between you and me, we have that 0.3% because you gave this one to
I
me,
think so.
and this is what I made Legend with. I believe not even just last month. I think the month before, I was struggling, and you gave me this deck, and it's a fun deck. It's solid. It's aggressive, and overall, it's just fun. I recommend this one highly. You play any of this, Housewife?
No, again, I don't know how I keep manage to go into these people that like they're the only people playing anomalies. But actually, since I'm also playing not meta decks, like I mentioned the no minion mage, maybe this is why like there's some sort of like algorithm that attracts non-meta decks. Maybe. I hope so. Because the less I see all those like infinite Death Knights or infinite heal. Like I think I faced a Warlock today that healed for like 200. I was exhausted just watching him heal. So yeah, I would be very excited. Actually, I'm gonna play a few of this.
Well, good.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions about algorithms, make sure you go listen to the Swelch podcast. That's a rabbit hole worth exploring. Pilot, what else we got?
Oh, thank you.
So going in a couple different directions, we have Protoss Rogue, which was the rogue deck for quite a while, and then as Cycle Rogue and actually Pirate Rogue have risen in popularity, it's kind of fallen off popularity wise, but not win rate wise. It's still at 54% win rate at Diamond through Legend. Still a solid deck. A little bit slower than some of these other ones, but still has the opportunity to end the game pretty quickly with some big swing turns at around turn 6 and 7 if you play it right. And then another similar swingy deck is Hand Buff Hunter at a 0.4% play rate, but a 56.9% win rate. This one is focused on buffing and discounting minions with reserve spot, especially ones that copy. So looking at most people are doing the Rune Bear, I think it is, the 4-drop that if it has 4 or more attack, it copies itself. A lot of people have started adding in a couple of higher cost spells to also use Bumbling Bellhop, which is a 3-mana 3/3 taunt that if you're holding a spell that costs 5 or more, summon a copy of this. So that can be duplicated. And then I saw a Sidisi list today that was running Brawl, which is the legendary from this set that every time you cast a spell, you summon an animal companion. You reduce the cost of that so that then you can, flood the board with a bunch of random animal companions that will always be Mishas for you and Huffers for your opponent. But that is a deck that does have a lot of draw variance because of Gilly and different things like that kind of muck up your hand and mess with the reserve spot discount. So if you're someone who does not like that type of deck, like myself, be aware if you're testing this out.
Fair. Sounds fun. I haven't played that much. I don't think I've played much Hand Buff Hunter since the fall of, not the fall, but since the rotation when we lost the main card there. The one that would bounce back and forth and you play with the ABJ.
King Plush.
No. The one
Grunter.
Grunter
Hunter.
Yeah, I haven't really played that since Grunter. And I don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm as much fun as that deck was. That deck needed to go.
But this is list some fun, like very fun.
Mm-hmm.
I played a lot of Asteroid Shaman since the theory crafting, actually. But right now, I can't see it that steady. Maybe that's why it's not that popular, because they die way too fast before they can manage to actually pull something. But this Hand Buff Hunter, wow. Like, it intrigues me so much. I played a lot of CDC's list. Yeah, they're all fun. I'm happy he made a new one.
He's good at what he does. Definitely. In fact, congratulations to DC. I believe he just got his 20,000th win in Hearthstone, and it was 20,000 on Hunter. So,
wow,
congratulations. That's quite the accomplishment. That's quite the single-minded focusedness that most of us don't have. But I'm also seeing a couple other items on your list here, Pilot, that you've just highlighted in the show notes, and I'm excited to see the second one.
Yes. So for those of you who are looking for unpopular decks that are a little bit slower, there are a couple of warrior decks that seem to be performing okay. They're just about 50% with Terran Warrior and Starship Warrior. I did not get a chance to look at what the difference between those archetypes were on HS Guru. It's probably just a couple little things here that cause the grouping to be different, but those are both Terran is at 0.7% play rate, 51 win rate. Starship 0.3% and 50.3% win rate. Different options compared to the Hydration Station Warrior, which is much more popular, but sitting at that same win rate. A lot of them do end up in the same end game play style, but that's kind of where Warrior's at right now. And then Asteroid Shaman is the one that I put on the list that is above 1%. It's at 1.5% play rate because it's the only option for Shaman that is above 50% as an archetype. And it's sitting at 51% win rate. Definitely has been on the rise more lately with the meta slowing down and trying to counter some of these slower grindy decks, because if they don't have a board, then you just put a bunch of asteroids in your deck, you put some spell damage on board, and they just die. I did play a little bit of this last week, brought it to THL when I probably shouldn't have, but I wanted something different, and it worked out. But definitely is something that might catch people off guard for a little bit longer. I think it's starting to catch on enough that people are expecting it when they see Shaman, unless it's like really high legend and they're thinking Nebula Shaman.
Yeah, and I think I'm excited for it because I like asteroids. That was one of the fun that I don't know if it's good for the game because I know it's like really frustrating to play against when it's good, but I love playing this deck. It is so much fun. I don't know why it's any different than bombs or anything else that has those things where you shuffle things in, the warlock things that they used to do, where they put the curses or whatnot in. Those can be very
Yep.
frustrating to play against, but at the same point, it's just a fun deck. Now, all they need to do is nerf that. I mean, buff that AOE card that gives you a couple asteroids because I think it's too overcosted. It's six super not supernova. What is it?
Meteor
It's like
Storm.
meteor storm. They need to make that cheaper, and then this will take off. You know, we have another half a year to play with it. So let's make asteroid shaman better. I think we can do that.
It's tricky to say if that would push it too far over the edge because we all also, I think it's not a good comparison, but the best comparison that I can think of is oh, Deathborn's not the right one. The mage spell from Nathria that dealt 2 damage to the all minions and then summoned the skeletons for everyone that died.
Oh, fun.
Yep.
And everyone looked at that and said, why does this cost 6? And then it was in every mage deck until it rotated pretty much. So, because everyone's just like, oh, this needs to cost 5 to be anywhere near playable. I think if we push Meteor Storm down, you might have to change a couple other numbers on it because I think a 5 damage AoE plus burn later on is probably a little bit too much. The deck does fine with clearing the board and still having enough damage, especially most of them are running Incendious now, and the one that I was playing also was running the Playhouse Giants. So you're doing all the cycling of your asteroids, and then okay, now I cleared your board instead of doing face, but here's 2 8/8s. Good luck. So I don't know. I think it's good enough without a buff, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, this week on the podcast of where we can't remember the names of cards and we just kind of think about them for a while. Housewife, do you like playing Asteroid Shaman?
Asteroid Shaman was so fun. Like sincerely, since the theory crafting, it was very very fun. Cause like I kept saying instead, do you remember the card? Put this apple on your head. I'd be put this meteor on your head. So I kept like saying that it's just so fun. It's fun. It's just a fun deck, and it was very consistent. Honestly, I was happy when it didn't work that well because it was kind of defining the whole meta. But I really hope like it was way too destroyed. I would love to see a comeback for it.
And all these lists are definitely different than the ones you used to remember. Like I am not seeing Shutter Block in any of these.
Yeah,
Only one of the like I see 3 lists right now for Asteroid Shaman on metastats.net. This
it's
but
slow.
it's slow. Ceaseless Expanses being played in, which is kind of I guess makes sense because we're going through a lot of cards, but only one of them has only one list has Insidious. So I guess you have options and depending what you like to do, but yeah, no Shutter Block. That's like half the fun. You want to shovel in like a million asteroids in, so it just kind of goes off forever. Uh, so you got a couple more lists here. It looks like Pilot that aren't like honorable mentions.
Yes. So these are honorable mentions, and if you two have anything that you have seen and want to throw in here, feel free. These are ones that have just kind of more recently popped up to where I don't want to say that they're good options as tier 1 and tier 2 because it's been so recently that they've been kind of popularized. Some of them actually have more games overall than what some of the ones that we talked about, but those other decks have at least been archetypes that have been around. There is the deck that I talked about playing earlier, this Arcwing Mage, which uses the 7-drop Arcwing, that you just copy it across the board and deal a bunch of damage. So I don't know if it's going to be good long term, but I was having success with it when I wasn't facing aggressive Death Knights. So do with that what you wish. If you're facing aggro, probably tweak some spots in it. It doesn't have a lot of AoE, the deck list that I was running. Um, but you can probably tweak some of the cheaper cards. And then there's also this Starship Druid that's a spell damage deck also. It tops out at like 5 or 6. And it's using the Starship, arcane cards for Druid, as well as some of the spell damage, either to get copies of your other cards or to do, spell damage, damaging the opponent's face. I have it in the client. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I got wrecked by it last week, and it's something that I did not expect to see. I'll make sure that I will put together a link with all the deck lists here, or at least a deck list for each archetype, and we'll send that out when the episode's live. That way you have something to look at and can kind of start to find, if you don't like that deck, you can find something else to play along those lines. But this is one to where very, very different, not something that was expected, but is performing well enough. It's at a 52% win rate right now, and actually is at a 0.7 popularity, so that might be enough to kind of solidify its spot for a little bit.
Nice. I don't know how much. I know the deck that I've been enjoying playing the most is not meta. I don't even know if it's good, so don't put it with this category. But it's good for me, and it's the Dark Gift Demon Hunter. It's kind of low curve, and you still play the the dogs and the dormant creatures and those spells, but you can get pretty aggressive with the dark gifts, and you get some really small minions with +4/+5, and you run them into your opponent. It's a lot of fun. So I recommend that. That's again the one that JT Snow gave to me a while ago, and I've tweaked it a bit. He wanted to play the bear, the legendary bear that it changes the stats of, or changes the minions, keeps the stats and the cost. And that didn't quite work. That legendary is horrible. It's fun when you generate it and can do some weird things. Because sometimes you can generate the. I had one game where I my ball of spiders. I sent this pilot. I sent this image to you. My ball of spiders came in, and I got the 4/4. Excuse me, the 4 mana 10/10 with Rush the Frog with the Overload 4,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I converted that to something else. So I had this 4 mana 10/10 with no this demon that had no restrictions. So it was a fun game. So if you can make that kind of thing happen, those are always the ones that like you kind of remember, right? So Housewife, you said you've been playing some off meta stuff or some good decks with I believe Spell Mage. Anything else you got going on?
Oh my god. I played Aviana Druid and I got Siamat, but I got it with Dark Gift. So I got Charge Siamat with Wind Fury. It was so good. It was amazing. And I think I killed my opponent. Literally, I played Aviana and the next turn I killed them. It was turn 6. Like, that's so, no. No. Like, if I would be my opponent, I would have totally uninstalled. Very mean. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Is Cliff Dive Demon Hunter meta? With that one, I hit Legend last month, though. I don't know if it was meta then. I've been enjoying a lot how I was saying the Dominion Mage. I'm a super huge big fan of Mozaki. Whatever resembles Mozaki, and I really hope it's gonna be something, because I don't want to go back to Wild soon. In some further expansion, that would be very, very good. So I've been playing Dominion Mage. Hacker has been enjoying his amalgam deck that he was playing today. That's also very fun. I know he tried something also a couple months ago, and he managed to like keep growing it and never in fatigue. And he actually managed to win against Starship control decks, but it takes a lot of time and literally energy to do that.
Yeah, he was streaming that today, and he was building this Death Knight, and it was a Blood Death Knight control. And the title of his stream was like speed run to legend, so I can be the Arena King tomorrow. It's like you don't speed run to legend with the deck. And he popped on earlier. He was like, "Yeah, I played 2 games in an hour." It's like, yeah, that's not gonna get you legend on the same day on day one. So
Well, technically, if you are winning every single game, you're getting there, right? If you have time to stream how many with 11 per stars, like it might be speedrun. Technically.
and then you have narrator. He did not make it.
Yes. Love that. Somebody was higher ranked than him, and he's might have started later, but was playing something more aggro.
Yep, absolutely. And plus, you had him out touching grass, so I'm sure that didn't help the situation. Well,
You have to walk your hacker, yes, every day.
if you have a hacker, take it for a walk. You heard it here first.
Yes,
So,
yes.
everybody, we say this every week. Give us a review if you like the show. Give us 5 stars on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or whatever. It helps people find the show, and that's all we want. We want people to find the show. So when we have awesome guests on, like Housewife, they get to hear them. More people that know about it, the more people are going to get to hear it, and the better it is for everybody. We have one final interview question for you, Housewife. What is your favorite dessert?
My favorite dessert. Oh boy. One too many. I always said that I have another stomach only for dessert. Like, I don't care that much about food, but for desserts, oh boy, I can't pick one. I can't. And I love flavors. I love rose flavor, for instance. So that means I'm gonna like anything like cheesecake with rose flavor, or loquam, Turkish delight with rose flavor, or I don't know, you name it, or even boba. Oh, so good. So it's very difficult for me to pinpoint a favorite something that's not a flavor. The same is for food. I don't have a favorite food or archetype or dessert. I have flavors.
This is probably the first time we've ever had the, hey, what's your favorite dessert? The answer is yes.
Most of them. Yep.
So
Just find the perfect flavor in it. It doesn't matter the consistency. It can be a mousse. It can be something thick, crunchy, like anything. You just have to have the perfect flavor, the perfect balance. Not too sweet, but perfect.
all right, makes sense. So Housewife, where can people find you on social media?
Everywhere I'm just either the housewife or the housewife HS on Twitch, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, everywhere. Just YouTube, look everywhere for the housewife or the housewife HS. I'm gonna be there.
Pilot, how about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter at Pilot712. That's PYLET. And also, more likely, find me on Discord. I'm in a few different Hearthstone Discords, and you can DM me there.
And you can find me at Tito Santana HS on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and everywhere else. Housewife, do you have anything you'd like to shout out or promote this week?
I would like to promote my husband first, because I'm very happy that finally, slowly, he's getting back on the competitive side. And a big shout out to all the women that are still streaming there every single day or occasionally. Just hang in there. It's gonna get better, girls. It's gonna get better.
Pilot, how would you like to follow that one up?
Going to give a shout out to Donkey, who runs HS Guru. That's where all the stats that I used today were pulled from. Really like how on their website they don't block archetypes or block decks for low sample size. I could find all those 0.1% popularity decks that you don't see on some of the other websites, which is really nice when you're trying to look for different decks and different off meta things to play.
And I'm going to shout out Point Concede, who is about to have their 500th episode. They are really the ship of Theseus of Hearthstone podcasts. They have a completely different cast from when they started to where they are now. And every person that's ever been on the show is fantastic. So congratulations. It's a big accomplishment. And having done a podcast for 121 episodes, I know it's a lot harder than people think it is. So congratulations. But I think we're toast. We'll see you.
See ya.
Bye.
Slide two brothers meet one another when they slide up to the mic. It's bread and butter with one another. Let's start up that recording light.